I have a feeling that at some point we have to sing our own jingle. I think it would make it more authentic than playing a.
That would be cool.
Playing a tune. What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of Smack. We'll be providing you with some reoccurring content and podcasts around hospitality, the fun and the stories behind the industry. Speaking to some veterans of the industry, some young guns of the industry over the next couple of months as the first season commences. And we hope that you enjoy the show, enjoy the ride, stick around to listen and to find out what there is to experience about Smack. I hope you enjoyed the first episode where I spoke to Florian Montag from hotelhero, who's going to be co-hosting some of the episodes going forward as well. And we spoke a little bit about what it's like to start your business in hospitality, especially the startup scene, relating to the hotel school in Lausanne and relating to the scene here in Berlin, with some insights of what it took to get the businesses that Florian and I started to where they are today. I hope you enjoy what's there and do leave some feedback so we can continue to get better at what we do, and we'll see you next time. Yeah, Flo, thanks for agreeing to do this. The fun of this is obviously the fact that we know each other for quite some time. How many years have we known each other? What do you reckon? I was done 2013.
Yeah, so it must have been 2012, 2013, so we're around 7 years now, back at Lausanne in hotel school.
Oh man, those were the days. Good at EHL, yeah, and you came. When did you come to Berlin?
I moved to Berlin 2 years ago.
Okay,
so it's been now end of 2017. I moved to Berlin.
Okay,
but I've been already living here 5 years ago for a couple months.
Okay, because I think the first time that we saw each other here in Berlin was at one of the ITB events, of the alumni events, IHIF ITB.
Exactly.
Alumni evenings. I think maybe in 2018, because it was the first one that you were in the city for. Correct? Then yes, that would make sense.
Yes,
March 2018 would have been
one of the classic alumni
shows
from our hotel school.
Yeah, from EHL. So tell me, how's it been? I mean, hotelhero is from what I've read and seen going very well. Was that always the plan when you came to Berlin, or how did that kind of develop back in the days?
So yeah, big question. So first of all, thank you very much for having me at Smack, the new podcast. Looking forward to this project. Yes, when we graduated from Lausanne, my two co-founders, Julien and Thibaut, and myself, wanted to pursue hotelhero and our mission with it, and we moved to Berlin for that. So that's been our reason why we came to Berlin. We were also looking at different other cities in Europe where we could start the business, but Berlin is such an international vibe, cool city to live in, that we really decided, okay, this is the place where we're gonna start our little baby.
Okay, and the two guys that you did with are also EHL or have a hotel background, or are they foreigners to the industry? What's the...
No, so we are the classic kind of hotel breed. We met each other together in one semester at hotel school in Lausanne.
Yeah.
We were first friends until our second internship. As in Lausanne, you always do internships in the industry working in hotels.
Yeah.
Julien, who's now one of the three co-founders, had the idea or saw the problem of technology, digital transformation in the hotel industry. And he came back to Lausanne and said, hey guys, like there's something we need to solve. There's something I'm really interested about. And since then it's been a long ride, and Thibaut, Julien and myself, we worked together as a team for now more than 3 years on the hotelhero project back in the days and on the company today.
So tell me this, because when we started L.I.K.E and stuff here, the first question that we always get asked from students from hotel schools and from people around us, friends, family, you know the deal, is it easy to start a company? Did you find it easy? Because I mean, effectively, you're indulging in something that you've never really had to do. There's fun things like paying taxes, following certain administrative rules when you found a company, finding clients, the first people to talk to. Easy, not so easy. What was your experience?
I think it's having the idea and wanting to follow through. That's already a big thing. I would say was the easy part for us because we're fully passionate, not about our business model or the company itself, but actually solving the problem, which we noticed. But then coming into reality, when you need to, as you say, pay taxes, incorporate, talk to lawyers, find your clients, tell them why they should actually pay for your service, even though we're a very young company, we just come out of school, out of university, so that was definitely a very challenging aspect, but it's also really rewarding once you actually manage to get your first satisfied customers who say, wow, you actually helped me in solving my problem. So that gives you so much energy that you really just want to follow through and continue.
Sounds good. So tell me exactly what it is you're doing with Hotel Hero. The problem, you said there's a certain problem solving aspect and what you want to, or what ideally you want to provide customers or people that are interested in your service with.
Yeah, so Hotel Hero is an online platform for hotel software. We help independent hotels and small hotel chains to discover, buy and manage their software systems. So a hotel uses more than 20 different systems which need to work together. And the topic of digital is becoming more and more relevant for hotels. However, it's not their core business and they're often overwhelmed with it. And our platform facilitates them to make this process much more seamless, save time and money, and allow them to make better decisions when they think about digital and when they invest in new IT.
Give me an example for some of those systems. So you've said there's around 20 systems. People that may just be starting out in the industry or may not be too familiar with the IT side of it. Sounds a lot. What are some of the typical?
So yeah, it's at the end of the day, for an independent hotel, the property management system is at the heart of every hotel. That's where the bookings come in. You save all the reservations, you make the check-in, it connects with the payment. So that is where everything is bundled together. And then you have often a lot of third-party systems. It goes from accounting up to your booking engine. So this is having a booking engine on your website so that your guests can book directly on it. And in our world today, the customer journey, the guests are becoming much more digital. So a hotel also needs to offer more digital touch points to connect with the customers. And that is why it becomes much more, they're much more specialized niche systems which become relevant for a hotel today. But something which is always very important when you think about technology in hotels is that the systems need to work together. The data needs to flow seamless from one system to the other so that you don't have to do that manually as a task, but everything is automated and allows you to actually fully benefit from the technology capacities your hotel has.
If you don't mind me asking this very direct question, where's your origin in this of interest for this topic? Forgive me for saying this is not meant to come across as hitting on you, but you're a little bit too good looking to be a typical tech geek. So, or is that image is that image too old now, that the tech geeks are always the guys that are sitting in the cellars and programming stuff away? And connected to that question, where is that interest coming from hotels? Were you bored into hotels? Did you walk into EHL and think the ladies are good looking? Let's try that. What was the plan?
So my passion for hotels came out of the service. I was always passionate about service. I was not from a hotel background, but I like to help. I like to work in restaurants. I worked a bit next to school. And then I started my first internship after high school, cleaning actually 17 rooms a day in housekeeping for the Park Inn by Radisson. So it was not the glamour side of it which brought me to the hotel industry, but it's just having that service working for people, which was something I enjoyed a lot. And then through my tenure at EHL and working on this project, it was what really touches me and why we are so passionate, me and Thibaut and Julien also, is that we're actually solving a problem and we want to make a difference. And we love the independent hotels. We love that they are working in service and that they're catering to the guests with full passion, but they can generate more revenues, they can optimize the business if they use that digital tech side in a better way. And that's how we got into technology. So I would not say that I'm the huge tech geek.
Yeah.
I could speak to you about hotel technology all day long, as you can imagine, but how I consider myself, I'm much more of a translator.
Okay.
Translating the tech language, translating what is out there as tech, and bringing that into the hotelier language and translating that into their business and how that fits to how a hotel runs.
So if you, I think that's a very interesting point you make. If you talk about translation and maybe also the need for translating, have you seen that develop? Have you seen hotels? I don't know, maybe having difficulties is a big term, but having it being more and more complex for hotels to decide what they need and what to choose from. There's more offer from what I've seen in terms of tech services as well. Where do you see hotels right now in that decision, in that translating process?
Yeah, I mean, as our platform itself, we're focusing mainly on the DACH French market and Europe. We have more than 500 systems listed on the platform, which are specialized for hotels in over 50 categories. So just think about that. That's a sheer amount of systems. And that's, so the complexity, there's much more solutions out there. And hotels know that digital becomes more important. There was just a study from Roland Berger with IHA here in Germany, the Hotel Association, and ÖAV, Hotel Association Austria, which said that over 80% of hotels said tech and digital is becoming a key factor in their hotels. However, only over 25% actually said that they feel as if they are ready for the challenge and that they are well positioned. So this huge discrepancy shows that there's a lot of work to be done, and hotels have the ability, or they have the need to actually catch up, especially when you're looking at the big giants of the OTAs or the big hotel chains and the new concepts coming in. So hotels notice it, but they need to also act on it. And that's why we're there to facilitate that, and that they can have less risk and are more informed to be able to make the right decisions.
So speaking of internationality, tell me a little bit about that. I mean, what we've seen here is that some of the challenges in Switzerland, Austria, Germany, the countries that you've just mentioned, France, potentially as well, are relatively similar. Do you see differences also maybe in working with people? If you say you've worked with the union in Austria, you've worked with the unions in Germany in one way or another. Do you see differences? Are the Schweizer closely to Servus from Österreich, or are the challenges different? What's your experience on that? And are the Germans necessarily still the most efficient ones, or are they also not doing great anymore?
I think that depends. There's always still a lot of kind of connecting with your own nationality. So the Swiss like to work with the Swiss, the Austrian with the Austrian. Germany, maybe it's a bit different as it's much bigger, so it depends on the big cities or on in the countryside. And the movement on technology and the understanding of the hotels and the need to innovate, I would say I see it a lot, especially in Switzerland, as they have been struggling a bit the market with the Swiss franc a couple years ago and inbound tourism, so that they see technology and innovation as a good way of improving their business and being able to stay ahead. But yeah, at the end of the day, I would say they are quite similar, because everybody would like still to work with local players. And that's the same in Austria as it is in Switzerland or Germany. And another point, looking at the DACH market, so Germany, Austria and Switzerland, but also France, it's the language. Language barrier is a huge aspect, especially because tech is already a topic which nobody loves to talk about. It's complicated. You don't know all the words.
Why is that, Flo? Why is that still let me interrupt you. Why is that still the case? Why does it still seem that some people are not? Is it because they don't know about it? Is it because they're not comfortable? Why is it that is still kind of a topic that people like to avoid in typical conversations?
Yeah, because it's not their area of interests. I mean, they don't know so much about the game, and also, let's not forget, technology evolves quite rapidly.
Yeah.
The people who've been in the industry 10, 20, 30 years, they have seen different tech coming in, and they have seen always new trends. So they're a bit cautious about, okay, do I need to jump on each trend? Because 5 years ago or 10 years ago, the salesperson told me this is the next big thing.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of the big topics, but it's also just not being so familiar with it, and that's why something which you don't know, typically you're not that keen on investigating more. And that's but there's a big change with the younger generation coming in who are more and more digital natives, and tech is just a part of our lives. So for us, we don't have that big barrier when we think about tech. So I think that is going to have also a huge impact on the adoption of new technology, on the evolution of the industry in the next couple of years.
So if you look back at the way Hotel Hero has developed, and I'm going to come back to that a little bit, in a sense that I'm pretty sure that people want to know, and that maybe are in similar situations where they've just started a company in hotel, potentially even in hotel tech. How has it evolved? Because I'm sure, as for any young company and startup scenario, there was a time, especially at the beginning, where you think, okay, I'm not really sure this is going to work, but we'll give it a shot. When did you sort of see, we're actually getting somewhere here, and this is going places, and we're feeling that people are want to hear more about what we can offer, and we're solving problems? Give me an input on how that journey progressed, as to going from, we're going to start this and we'll see how it goes, to we actually need to start writing budgets, and we need to think about 2 or 3 years ahead because this is going somewhere.
Yeah, so it all started a bit as a project in Lausanne, speaking to our first mentor, Ian Miller, from Lausanne, who we came with him, and we
couldn't really do the first episode without mentioning Ian Miller, to be
no,
fair.
he's been the fundamental and the core aspect in the creation of Hotel Hero.
Yeah.
Because first time Julien thought of it, he went to him and asked him, what's your feedback? Because he comes from the IT, from the hotel background. And he said, this is a huge problem, and guys, dig deep into it. And so we started working on that, and once we graduated, we realized, okay, now we actually have to find out, is this gonna be something? Because we cannot live without earning money for very long. So I started first working at the car show in Geneva for a couple of weeks, just to earning a bit of Swiss money, Swiss salary, before moving and starting our own business. And then we started, as we're not selling a direct software,
right.
So we're not selling a direct product, we're a marketplace, so we're connecting to players, and that's why it's important to have that position in the market. So it's not something which you have on day one. Like if you have a software, you have the product, you can sell it. For us, so we started working as consultants, and that's where we started working for a hotel chain, a smaller one, doing the whole IT strategy, implementing new systems. Then we got a few more projects. We generated money that we could actually live from our own cash flows. And that's where we realized, okay, we're onto something. And then we got applied to the Metro Techstars Accelerator. It's an accelerator for startups, 3 months. They also invest. And we came there there's this, in the second or third week, there's this mentor madness, they call it. You meet 100 different mentors in speed dating, and each mentor gives you 20 minutes and just destroys your business. That was, for me, I would say, the worst moment of my life. Because we got told, or you're a tech company or you're a consulting company, but you can't be both.
Okay.
And you guys are both at the moment. So we had sleepless nights really thinking, okay, we just achieved our biggest milestone and we are now a startup, but at the same time, everybody told us, you're absolutely not doing that.
Yeah.
And but it was also really refreshing for us, because it allowed us to decide what is our focus, what do we want to do, and we, through this accelerator, through the 3 months, we really focused on developing our new platform, and we are now we have the platform as the core of our business. And so I would say it's always, you need to hang in there. You need to be open for criticism and be able to adapt based on new data you receive. And but yeah, that was the process of us becoming a company. And then through that end of the accelerator, we got away from being more of a consulting company to actually being a platform-driven company, because that also has an impact on everything, of budgets to hiring to strategy and vision.
And don't you agree, Flo? Because I mean, we like to mock Ian Miller. I mean, it's the best part of my day when I get to do that. But don't you agree that we need people like him? And this is going to be a compliment for Ian eventually. That we need people, mentors, and especially at a young stage of the company that will help you, that will open doors for you. Because from the experience that we've made, that makes it a lot easier, because you have someone to turn to. You can ask a question. There's no dumb questions. Would you suggest? I'm sure Ian's going to get a lot of phone calls at this. Would you suggest getting people to find a mentor prior to starting, halfway through starting? What's your suggestion? At what point do you need one or two people around you that will help you out?
No, for sure. So yeah, in this example, Ian is a professor at EHL in Lausanne Hotel School, and he took the role of a classic mentor.
Okay.
A mentor is somebody you trust, somebody who has more knowledge and expertise in your area than yourself, because you're young entrepreneurs. Often you have a lot of drive and a vision, but you don't have a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
So for us, having a person like Ian was key. Without him, we would not be there today. We would have not started the business, and we would have been doing something completely different. That's why it's important to be able to have people who from an early day give you feedback, support you without actually wanting something in return. At this stage, it's really kind of giving and just having the hope that the young guys can learn something and find their own way. But it's also important that you should never expect of a mentor to do your business for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They are there to give you advice when you ask them. You need to be specific, and you need to go over to them and ask something for them. Don't expect them to write your business plan, or don't expect them to do everything for you and build up your business.
Yeah, yeah. If you look at the current status maybe or the status quo of hospitality at the moment in terms of tech, where are we, Flo? Are we halfway there? Have we reached the peak? Is there more to come? What's your? I mean, this is a very broad and open question, but what's your take on the development of tech in hospitality? Because a lot of people that I speak to tell me, I'm not sure what more there is to innovate, because we've got everything. We've got a system that does the housekeeping or maintenance for us. We've got social media systems. We've got a system that does our entire reservation system. We've got channel managers left and right. Is there still space? Would you still recommend for people to dig into this area, or would you say let's go and maybe make some other aspect of the industry a bit more modern?
So yeah, it depends. Of course, we have a lot of choice and a lot of different niche systems throughout the value chain of a hotel. But we're definitely not at the end of technology in the hospitality industry. I would say we are more in the middle or at the beginning. There are new trends coming, if it's voice, who will have a complete impact on the industry, and which will change everything. So I can't tell you where we are on the roadmap, but I would say that there's a lot of potential, and there's always place for more innovation and for more connectivity and making processes more seamless, and also adapt to new user trends, because customers are changing, guests have for example, voice will search for hotels differently, so that will completely change the way how hotels book online. But I think this is also a really good spot to actually change over to you. Looking at online distribution, at digital marketing and how to position your hotel online. Maybe you can give a bit of background about your own story of L.I.K.E Hospitality, how you started it, like what was your or what you actually do at L.I.K.E Hospitality.
I mean, this what we do and how it started is pretty closely linked to each other. The idea is similar to what you described, or originated in Lausanne at EHL. Unfortunately, we have to mention Ian Miller again. We should really make this podcast about him at some point. So again, Ian was a driving factor in this when I did my what we call a student business project, which is sort of the bachelor thesis, if you so want, in Lausanne. We discovered that, you know, the whole aspect of technology is out there now, and the digitalization has certainly come into the industry, and very few people were sure at the time, again similar to what you described, as to how to make good use of it, especially in positioning themselves online. So we decided that we'd have a look at how companies do that, especially in hospitality, and what aspects today influence how your company is found, how it's perceived, and so on and so forth. And it wasn't long before we realized that entire landscape basically happens online now. How you're perceived, how you're reviewed, what people say about you. The majority of that happens online, whether it's through a website, whether it's through social media, whether it's through reviews, whether it's through Google searches or search engine optimization. You know, there's a whole variety of topics there that really the hotel industry wasn't prepared for. Certainly not in at the speed that it came at them, right? You know, everyone knew quite early when we started the company back in 2014 or 15. Everyone was pretty aware that having a good website is probably a good idea now, right? They knew the basics were relevant, but very few people had really dealt with how to run an ad on Instagram or you know, how to actively affect where your hotel ranks when people search for hotels in a certain city. So we, based on that, we kind of said, okay, it was probably going to be a good idea to help out with that, and we did the one thing that they will tell you at university to not do. We started a consulting company with 22 years of age, which at the beginning obviously went the way that they told us at university it would go, because it was very difficult to convince people at first sight with little experience to no experience, and you know, just fresh out of university, to say that we're going to be your digital experts, because they said, I'm not going to say what they said, but you can imagine what they said, right? And from there, we kind of tried to develop an expertise. We focused on certain areas. So we started with the whole idea of how a good hotel website should look, what it needs, how quick it needs to be, what kind of images, does it need to work on mobile phones and other devices, and so on and so forth. And once we felt we were good at that, we went out with that service, and then moved on to social media and said, okay, you know, how should a hotel be viewed on social media these days? What should it publish? What should it not publish? And so we went from topic to topic until we had sort of a very complete digital marketing portfolio available for hotels. And voila, L.I.K.E was born. I started it with a friend from university as well, Robin, who at the time wanted to have the experience of starting a company as well. Then later moved on to pursue a different career path, but was vital in starting the company. He's the one that actually came up with L.I.K.E. So the name, which stands for leadership, the L, the I for innovation, the K for knowledge, and the E for exchange. So that was actually Robin's involvement. So I would completely agree with what you said earlier. I think it's very important to have someone by your side, not only a mentor, but also some other people to start the company with. Because if you don't have anyone that challenges you and that destroys you early on, in a destroying in a positive way, you're going to think you're the greatest, and it's going to be very difficult to come back from that. And that's kind of the experience that we've made. And yeah, here we are today, 4.5 years later.
How big is your team today?
So there's 6 or 7 people in the office most of the times if everyone's here, and all in all there's about 12 to 13 people in the team if we count freelancers as well, which we get on board when we have projects that involve them, especially things like photography, videography, drone flights to take panoramic views of the hotel, 3D images of a hotel room. So we do all of that now. So it's developed quite nicely to become a total team. Like I said, if you include all the freelancers, which are naturally not in the office every day, to about 12 or 13 people. And I think it's a size that works very well for us because it's intimate enough that we have, we're close to each other. We can chat things out. We can discuss projects, problems, developments very quickly. And it's also big enough for us to now do 3, 4, 5 projects at the same time, which, as I'm sure you can confirm, at the beginning is not easy because there might be a time where you have no projects at the beginning and you sit there thinking, I better go call my parents to get dinner tonight. And there's other times where you have 2 or 3 projects at the same time, and if you're still by yourself, that's pretty difficult to do at the beginning because you need to focus your attention.
So how did you manage? You said before that it was very hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
But today you have around 12 people in your team working with you. So how did you manage to get from 1 or 2 co-founders straight out of university to having now a successful consulting company?
I mean, I think I've said this before on multiple occasions. I think there is a certain percentage of luck involved in starting your business. I'm a strong believer of that. And I know that we talked about this before, the two of us, and you said that you also force your own luck. And I agree with that. I think luck is something that you can force. But I think a good 15-20% of starting a business and it developing the way that L.I.K.E has is no doubt luck. And I think, that luck includes having good mentors, which we've talked about. I'm not going to mention his name again, otherwise he's going to get flattered. But it involves good mentors. It involves having a private life that will allow you to go and do and be weird for 2 years at the beginning. I think that's very important. And I think that you need that base to get going. Hard work helps. I'm sure you agree. There are a lot of weeks at the beginning and when you start where the weekend is not really free for a good night out as much as we want it and as much as that's possible in Berlin. There's just other priorities, and there you'll have to do some projects at the beginning that you don't necessarily want to do, but it pays the bills. So there you are, and you need people that will believe in your project very early on. And we had someone like that. We had a client, probably the first client that we had actually, was the CEO of a small German hotel chain, Fleming's Hotels, Hartmut Schröder. He was the first guy that said, I'll give you guys a gig. I'll give you a job to mandate 1 or 2 projects for us, and this is how I want it, and this is how I do it. This is how I would like it to look at the end, and how I want it to be carried out. And I think you need people like that who believe in you at an early stage, which again I guess is in one way or another luck. And those experiences at the beginning are the most the biggest learning experience ever. The Hartmut Schröder is a very, very, very tough hotelier, very nice guy, but very tough, and he will clearly say his opinion if he thinks something is bullshit. Can we say bullshit on the podcast? Yeah, we can say bullshit. Okay. If he thinks something is bullshit, then he'll say that. And I think that was a great learning experience for us. So the journey for us was a mixture of hard work, luck. You need to be able to network. We've known each other for some time now. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's clearly talking. That's why we started. That's why we started the podcast. I guess that's why we started Smack. So you need to be open to talking, and you need to be you need to excel at small talk at a very early stage, because you need people to remember you, and you need to get into conversations with people. And that mixture helped get to where we are today. And I will say this as well, as the journey continues, you have to continue to surround yourself, and I'm not saying this because one of them is sitting behind me, you need to continue to surround yourself with people that will actually can I say give a shit on the podcast? Yes. I can say give a shit, okay. That will actually give a shit about the company, because there are some people that you will hire, and we've had that as well, where you clearly say they come here from 9 to 5 and that's it. That's not really going to work in a young company or in a startup. You need people. Commitment is key, and not just commitment from you, but also when you get people on board to work with you, you need to make sure that they share that commitment and that drive. If not, you're paying someone who is there, which is great, and they'll do the work probably, hopefully, but you're not really adding value to the company. Yeah.
So I saw that you guys won the German German brand award.
Yeah.
Was that the biggest achievement which you've had so far from outside perspective?
Yeah.
And has that tell me like the background, what project was it, how did you guys manage that, and what was the impact on your company after that?
I think the German brand award was we won that last year, and it's the setup is in a way that, you know, there's a subscription and people can subscribe and give in projects, and then they decide a winner in certain categories. And we won the project in an area called brand activation social media. So we specifically won it for a topic that we do and that we provide hotels with, and we won it for a project that we did with the DEHOGA Berlin, which is the local union here in Berlin, where we created a WhatsApp channel for them. Speaking again of digital marketing, and they wanted a way to interact with their users in a little bit more modern way. And clearly WhatsApp, something that, you know, half of the German population, I think 45 million users alone in Germany, use WhatsApp. So the creation of that project and getting it to where it is today helped us, no doubt. You know, it's a pretty sexy thing to have in your email signature. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty good there. Yeah. At the end of the day, Flo, I'll be very honest with you, it was a milestone, yes, but it was pretty much that. We've thrown it into our portfolios that we send out to potential clients and say, listen, we've won this. I haven't really heard of anyone who said, I'm only going to work with you guys because you have that award, right? Does it look good? Does it make you proud? Not about yourself, but does it make you proud? Because I was not the only one involved, clearly, with that project. But it makes you proud of the fact that you've built something that can win awards, even if it's just a national award and not an international award. But it makes you proud. It gives you a good feeling. It gives you motivation. That I will 100% agree with. I'm not necessarily sure it was a driving sales factor. Let's put it that way. Yeah. But obviously it looks good to say we've won an award, an independent award. We had no say in the vote, obviously. Yeah. That we then can stick on the website and can stick on the email signatures. And I will say this, especially as a young company, and I'd be glad to hear your opinion on this. A lot of this, what we do, I feel, especially at the beginning, is also about perception. If people perceive you to be knowledgeable in your area, I think that helps a lot. Would you agree? Because I think if you leave the impression that you're mostly, bullshit, I've already asked if I can use bullshit, so I'm going to say it again, that you're mostly bullshitting, that people will realize, especially in an industry like where we deal with hoteliers who've been doing this 20, 25, 30 years, they'll realize if you're bullshitting.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think, very important, as you said before, you guys had Fleming's Hotels, your first hotels, yeah, which actually worked with you, and that was kind of, in German you say Dosenöffner, so it opens you the way for more clients. Yeah. It is having outside references which say, I worked with them and they know what they're doing. Because it's easy to say, to be an expert and to be able to tell people that you're an expert, but once you have outside recognition, you have clients you work with and who say, I'm satisfied with their work and it actually brought value, then this is the best way of marketing and the best way of attracting new clients, because somebody else, you have done it successfully for somebody else.
I think the idea of partners in general, whether it's clients certainly are partners because they pay money, but working with other companies from whom you don't necessarily get money or revenue, I think that's a large percentage of why our story went as well as it's gone, is because we found people to work together with, to do certain events together with, where we could present ourselves, and accepting the fact that maybe you'll have to pay for a trip somewhere and you won't get any revenue for it necessarily, but at least you have a relationship with someone and you have some form of partnership in that sense.
So this partnership, SMAC, I mean, you guys brought it to life. Tell me more about it. What was your goal behind it? How was it started? And
I mean, the SMAC story is pretty. This is going to be a little bit embarrassing for me now, but I'll go there anyways. The SMAC story is basically that the team here at L.I.K.E and Hotel Webby told me about this thing called podcasts, right? So that's kind of how it started. I was not necessarily the number one podcast listener of Germany to date. Yeah. So I had to have myself a little bit convinced. Got into the topic a little bit. We read up on it. We asked around a little bit, and all of a sudden, I heard from the guys and girls here in the team and from my own friends and family that everyone's listening to podcasts. So that was the first message, and I said, okay, well that's cool. I'll listen to a podcast or two myself, and then we'll leave it at that. And at some point, we talked about this here internally, and we said we have so many funny people and great knowledgeable guys and women that I'm sure would love to share their story. And the one thing that we have in the industry is what we call network, and we have people who know each other from certain events or backgrounds or whatever, and we kind of wanted to create a platform where they can come together and have a chat. And that's really the idea of Smack, is for it to be a chat. There's no big interview script or big pre-interview or anything. That's not the idea. The idea is for the way we did here today, basically sit down and have a chat, and speak about the topics that matter to you. I could talk to you about I don't know, the probable season of the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm probably not into the Lakers, neither are you, and it wouldn't be really a fun conversation. So the idea is to talk about topics that interest the person across on the other side and of the table that we interview, and ideally that will interest the listeners and the followers of Smack as well, and to make it a platform for everybody. Obviously there's a certain idea behind it as well, and we have a certain place that we want to go in terms of who we invite to the show and so on and so forth. But it's really meant to be a platform where people can hear about various topics, and it's deliberately aimed at hospitality. So there's no necessary association only with hotels, right? So clearly, you and I have mostly dealt with hotels, but we'll get some people on from airlines. We'll get some people on from big tech companies that work across the industry and not necessarily just with hotels. And fortunately, we've got someone on board that I don't have to do it all by myself, which is the idea, and I'm glad you said yes to this. So the idea is clearly between the two of us that if we have the chance, we'll do the shows together, but then at some point also that we split them up. We're sort of aiming, and we have very different opinions on this in the team. We're sort of aiming to get like maybe an episode or two per month. That's sort of the rhythm that we'll go by, to keep it to keep it up to date, to keep it current as well. We want to talk about current stuff. So that's basically the idea with Smack. We'll publish it on all the known platforms like Spotify and the podcast app of the iOS system, so of the iPhones, and we'll throw it on YouTube as well, and we'll have it on our website, which will be smack.media as well. So we'll put it out there as best we can, and make it as interesting as possible. That in short. I realized this wasn't really short, but anyways, that in a couple of sentences is basically the idea. International is the approach. I think we agree that was the plan. So we're not just going to focus on Germany. We'll go to the UK. We'll have a look around there of who we can find, and who's willing to talk to us. That's basically the plan. Tell me your experience with podcasts, especially with hospitality, and why you said yes to this. I mean, you must be out of your mind.
I must have too much free time,
Exactly.
Why I joined, and thank you again for the invitation, is because I want to bring a fresh and interesting kind of new view from us to the industry, especially for people who are just in hotel school or who just started their career, if it's in hotels, restaurants, real estate, everything around hospitality and tourism, but also for seasoned veterans of the industry and experts to just kind of bring a kind of a new perspective to what we live and what we see, and also what our guests have experienced. And I think that is definitely the key reason why I joined, is for looking forward to all the interesting conversations and exchanges with our guests, as they have always amazing stories to tell, especially in the hospitality industry. You're always astonished about all the stories and what happened at certain events or in their careers. So this is why I've joined, and I'm really looking forward to an exciting first season.
Yeah.
And
I think the reason we wanted to do this is because we want it to be like no other podcast. It's okay to say bullshit here and to just speak your mind, and I like that. We're not going to go swearing around the whole time. That's clearly not the idea either, but it's okay to say what's on your mind and be open about it. That's until the Arne, who we will not fail to mention in our first episode, who's the guy who's going to be running the whole technological aspect of it and making sure that the podcasts sound good and so on and so forth, until he hits me in the head and says, stop it. We'll talk about whatever comes to mind and whatever sounds good. Flo, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you soon. The next episode we're just in the process of confirming, so we'll have something interesting there. It's probably going to be around hotels in one way or another, and sort of boutique hotels and a modern concept of hotels. And we'll see what we have in there. We'll see you next time, Flo. Thank you very much.
Looking forward. Thank you.